Happy Thursday. Okay, I said I would be on here Thursday again at 6 o'clock. So if you are joining us, please say hello. Of course, if you are watching the replay later, just let me know, #replay, so I can follow back up with you. Again, this is definitely one of the I'm going to call it like a series of 2020 planning videos. And I am totally inspired by a couple topics. I had a few ideas today, and this was definitely one of them. To really dive into, because it's so necessary, needed, and also something that's coming up for a lot of my clients, a lot of people just in general, especially when it comes to like planning for the next year. Hey, Tammy, thanks for hopping on. Is really this whole idea about knowing your competition, but not getting sucked in to like going down the comparison hole. But using it in a strategic way to really differentiate yourself. I'm going to really struggle with that word tonight, but to really set yourself apart, we'll say that, for next year and like where you want to go with your business. And you guys, like this can even be related to like personal stuff as well, because, I'm just so excited about what we're going to dive into. So again, if you are here, please say hello. If you are watching the replay, let me know what questions you have as we go through this. Really, I feel like you can't have planning of any kind, any type of strategic planning for the next year without diving into what your competitors are doing. So, and you guys, honestly, like from a personal level too, like as you guys are going into the new year and everyone's thinking about like New Year's resolutions and things like that, comparing, like knowing, I don't want to say competitors, but just like knowing how you compare yourself to other people, whether that's in the online space, like on social media, or comparing yourself to friends and family, especially over like holiday conversations and things like that. Like it can be really exciting to plan for next year, but it can also be very intimidating to kind of set new goals for yourself, especially when you when you see what other people are doing and you kind of fall into that comparison trap, right? So like, let me know if that's you. It's totally fine. It's very normal, right? I want to just like give you that validation that like, it's very, very normal to compare yourself to other businesses in your industry, to other people and what they're doing, to what they have and what you want, right? Like it's very easy to fall into that trap. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is really like why it's important to know what your competitors are doing some market research, researching into what your competitors are doing, really talking about the comparison piece and how to set your boundaries and how to really protect your energy around that while you're doing this, because it is important, but then also using that as like fuel for what you're going to be doing next year, especially for your business. This is totally relevant to like what you can change or what you can do for your life as well. So think of it in a way that works best for you, like whatever your goals are for next year as you're planning for 2020, whether that's in your business, in your life, definitely a little bit of both. You know that they're both integrated. Thanks, Tammy. I so appreciate you. I'm so glad you're on here tonight. And Tammy, I know we talked about a lot of stuff like for your life and businesses. So definitely like this can apply to both, right? So hugely. Okay, so competition, like let's just go into that a little bit. Obviously, competition is good, right? Like that's where, especially being in the business world, like that's where monopolies come from if you don't have the right or enough competition in the space, in the industry. Think of Amazon right now. Think of even some of like the phone companies, right? How, or cable companies. Now that we have like streaming and things like that, it's like when one company gets too big and has most of the market, like it becomes a monopoly, right? Obviously, that's getting more into the details, but that's what we don't want. So like competition in general is healthy, right? Competition, especially for small businesses, is also really, really good too, and really important because it keeps you growing. If we didn't have competition in our business, we would never grow our business. We would never like push to do new things and have new products or services, or grow to the online world or grow locally or like, you know, whatever that is, like you, in order to stay in business, you do have to grow, right? Like that is definitely a part of business. If you are in business just to like put something up and hope that that sticks, like you're not going to last, right? Like you do have to evolve. And competition is a huge part of that because your competitors are going to do something different from you, and potentially, you know, customers are going to go that way or like get to have the choice between you and other businesses. So it keeps it healthy, right? So like we need the competition, right? Don't get me wrong. I want to kind of go into like, so how do you dive into your competitors to really understand how that's going to set you up for your 2020 planning, right? So I want you to take some time to really dive into this a little bit. We'll get into the comparison part next, right? Because that's totally where it's easy to get into as you do this. So I want you to set some really intentional time to dive into this, and that kind of depends on your business, right? Maybe you just take a day and that's enough. Maybe you take a week. Maybe it's more of like, this is something you really need to work on this month, but doing it like once or twice a year, and being really intentional about that. And then like staying in your own lane, right? Like kind of putting the blinders on and like doing your business, right? Because you have to do that too. Like it does have to be yours. It does have to come from you and your energy, your inspiration, your vision for it, right? Like you have to lead your own business, but you also have to know what your competitors are doing. So I want you to allow yourself, especially if you're new to business, like plan some time, whether it's once a year, really hardcore, maybe it's, semi-annually, so like twice a year. Maybe you do this just like for 2 hours, say every quarter. I don't know, like whatever works best for you, and especially knowing your industry a little bit for what your business needs in order to grow. How, what's the right word? How like aggressive are your competitors? How aggressive is, attracting your same customers or getting new customers? And what does that look like, right? So like how much do you have to be on top of the competition? I feel like for product-based businesses, this might be a little bit more so, where they might have to know more of what other people are doing. In service-based businesses, I don't want to say it's easy by any means, but a lot of like who you are as a business owner and as a service provider is what your customers are going to fall in love with, right? Like it's going to be that relationship marketing and really making those connections and giving you that like face-to-face or like that heart-to-heart communication between it that really does help to set your business apart, as opposed to just like having, and don't get me wrong, like if you have a product-based business, there's definitely some of that relationship building and everything, especially if you are local. But when it comes to like, selling it in stores where you are not right there physically, like selling your product and meeting your customers, if it's more like online or you're going through a store, right, to have other stores like distribute your product, like you take that piece away, right? So like how can you still stay on top of it so that you still have that like personal piece to it and you still stay in the competition, right, with your competitors? So really taking some intentional time to really dive into this and see what your competitors are doing. Like, what are they doing differently? What do you need to think about and adapt to or change in your business? Or how can you really see what your market, your ideal customer, like whoever you want to call that, really needs your business to change compared to your competitors, right? Okay, I feel like a lot of this is getting a little bit too like businessy. So I want to give you like maybe a few examples, or definitely if you have like questions for your own business or you're wondering how to do this, I would love to hear just your questions or your topics and stuff too, so we can dive into that a little bit, because I don't want it to be too high level where you like kind of glaze over and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying, right? So like I'm going to get out of kind of like the businessy stuff, and I want to like dive into some of the really specific examples. So I mean, honestly, let's be real, photography, my business, there's a lot of competition. At the same time, there's not, right? Like what I mean by that is, so the area that I'm in, like the Denver metro area, there are a lot of photographers. Let's be real. Like there are a lot of photographers that come to Denver. So knowing that there is a lot of competition, however, knowing that each photographer has their own style, they have their own like specializations in what they shoot or what they don't shoot, and they have their own personality behind it too. So like all of those things, and of course like what they offer. So like if you offer digitals, if you sit down and do like in-person sales, if you do it completely differently than that, like all of those things set you apart from other photographers, right? So like this is the good stuff, because when you start your business, I don't want you to just like think about it as like you're just another photographer or you're just another Kristen, by the way, if you're watching this, this is so perfect, because if you didn't see what Kristen posted in my Facebook group, it was basically like whenever you're feeling bad about your competitors or you're like putting yourself down, you're comparing yourself, think about just in general, like going to the grocery store and seeing how many different types of, the picture was how many different types of bread there were, like of all things, like bread. Like think of how many competitors make bread and like really what sets them apart, right? And you know, it's not like somebody is standing there trying to sell you bread, right? Like you literally just like see the shelf and you have to make your decision. So it's like, what does set you apart, right? And there's always room for like more. Like I used the example, I forget when it was, but not too long ago, of like, think of how many brands of makeup there are. I mean, ideally you're going to buy like, say like eyeliner or mascara, but you have all of these different brands to choose from, right? So like, how do you make your decision on that as a consumer, right? You kind of want to think that same way when it comes to your business, right? So knowing your competition, knowing where you fit in that market in order to decide how you want to set your brand or your business apart, right? So diving into, you know, really figuring out like, maybe it's, there's so many things that can go into it, right? Like what does their pricing look like compared to yours? What does their packaging look like compared to yours? What, especially if you're service-based, like what does your services and like that package look like compared to yours? Do those customers like what they're getting from them versus you, or vice versa, right? What about just the customer service, you guys? Oh my gosh, can we go out like on a tangent a little bit and talk about just customer service in general? This is something that is huge right now. If you have not noticed, that's where consumers are really coming back to. It's not just about the new things, or it's not just about the product or just about the service anymore. It's about, when I say service, I mean like the type of service. It's really about the customer service and like how they're going to be treated as a customer. What does that customer service look like? What if they have a question? Do they have support? Do they have someone they can contact? How is that handled? I wish I had the statistic for you. I'll have to like post more about it in the group, but I saw a statistic today. I think it was 33% of customers decide just with one customer service interaction, like if it was one negative customer service interaction, that 33% of people, like one third of people, of consumers, decide to go with a completely different company based on one like interaction, like negative interaction with customer service. Oh my goodness, you guys, like that's huge. That's huge for like your business, because if you have one unhappy customer, like they can quickly just go to someone else. They can quickly go find another photographer. They can quickly find another, whatever it is, right? Whatever your business does, they have that choice, which is good, but that's what keeps you competitive, right? So you need to like spend some time to dive into that. And also just simply like knowing your customers to know what they want, right? So that you're not just putting something out there that you think is good, right? We all do this, especially as you're first getting started. That's okay. Like you have to start somewhere, right? I want to give you that permission. Like please go and just start there, because you have to start at square one. But like really, again, like going back to that relationship building and that customer service piece, understanding your customer, like what do they actually want? Like what are they asking for? What do they really need support with? and then like packaging that into like your product or service, right? In order to give them something that they actually want, instead of trying to sell them something they don't need. Can we say that again? Like, right? Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're having issues with your business right now and like getting new clients, I want you to go talk to them. Like, I want you to go talk to your clients or potential clients and see what they like, what they want, what they're really looking for, instead of trying to sell them something that you think they need. Give them what they want, right? It seems so simple, right? But a lot of this is like diving into that market research and understanding your competition, understanding what's out there, understanding what their options are. And then, okay, taking a step back, as you're doing this, not going down, I always call it the rabbit hole of comparison, right? Because how easy is it to look at somebody else's business in your industry and think, oh my God, like they're so much farther than me. Oh my gosh, like they have it all figured out. Oh my gosh, like look at all these reviews or look at all of these things. Especially if you are like a solo entrepreneur or you're a solo business owner, or even just have like a small team, right? Like looking at other people either in your industry or that you look up to or that you follow on social media and being like, why am I not there yet, right? Like, why do I not have that? How are they so much further along? How do they have it all together? They totally have like what I want and I'm not there yet, right? Like how many of you guys have these questions going through your head as you follow these people, as you look at their businesses, as you're just doing this research? And I want to really bring this up about this topic because this is so common. And I want to make sure that you are protecting your energy while you're diving into, you have to do the market research, right? You have to see what your competition is doing, but keeping it very strategic and very like at a logical sense instead of like a feeling sense, right? Get the facts, right? Get the things that are going to help your business instead of sinking into all of those questions and letting those really drain your energy and question yourself until you just like feel like why am I even doing this, right? Like I don't want you to get to that point, believe me. That's why I call it like the rabbit hole, because I feel like once you see something and it triggers something in you, well, then you go to the next thing, right? So it's like you see that and you're like, oh my gosh, like they have it so together. Like, look at everything that they have. Why do I not have this yet, right? Why are they so much better? Like, will I ever be able to get to that point? Oh my gosh, maybe I'm not good enough. Like, right? Like it just spirals down and down and down. Like it just triggers other things. So I don't want you guys to do this. This is why I wanted to bring this thing up with you guys today, is because market research, competition is very, very helpful, strategic, healthy for your business. It's something you have to do, right? But it can definitely come with the price of like starting to compare yourself. So I want you to, that's why I'm saying like set a specific day or two or a week or whatever that looks like for you in your business to dive into it and make sure that you are protecting your energy, you're setting up those boundaries about how you're going to do this research and not let it affect you from like an emotional level. This is, of course, easier said than done, especially for some people. If you are like empathic, if you're just getting started in business, if you know that you are kind of prone to comparing yourself, definitely be aware of that, right? If you're definitely a person who can be like, nope, logic's facts, like, let's just look at this and move on, like, great, like you are solid, right? If you know that you are a person who gets drained by this or falls into comparison easily, this is something to do some work around, right? So what are some of the boundaries that are going to help you not do this, right? Not spiral down the rabbit hole. So definitely like setting time aside to like do this, and then shifting your mindset to like let it, like use that to move you forward. Don't use that to take a step back and question yourself and fall into that. Letting it drive you. Knowing that like if there are certain people, certain businesses, especially, I always go back to like social media because this happens so often on there. is if you're seeing somebody's stories, if you're seeing somebody's posts, if you are going and researching their business, and then of course, like knowing the algorithms of Facebook and Instagram and how they work, if you are going and looking at someone's page and potentially like liking them or commenting or things like that, they're going to pop up more, right? So knowing that if, you know, someone specific, you need to go, like they are your competitor, you do want to go research their business, and then maybe you need to unfollow them for like the 30 days or whatever, so you don't see their posts and you don't get stuck on that and spiraling down the hole on the comparison syndrome, right? So like setting those boundaries for yourself, knowing that you may have to unfollow some people for a while. Words are hard. Or, you know, just not going to do that, not making it a point every single day or every single week to do this research, but setting a certain time for it so that you are protecting your energy around that, right? Let me know what comes up for you around comparison, and if you notice any patterns for yourself, because we all have like different ones and what we kind of fall into. So if you're noticing any patterns of like when it happens or what exactly triggers you, that is super, super helpful. It's very uncomfortable, right? But super helpful to know where you can put those boundaries up so that you can protect your energy around it and actually do the work that you need to without going down that hole. So let me know what comes up for you around that. I know a lot of imposter syndrome can be triggered around that. So please keep me posted what questions, specific examples, triggers, like anything that you have around that. We'd love to dive into that more with you. Okay, so kind of getting back on, that's kind of my step back approach to that. So like competition, definitely being aware about your comparison and what is going to trigger you, and then using it to propel you and your business forward, right? Or your life forward. So if you are going back to like the personal side of it, I don't want to say knowing your competition, but like knowing what's coming up in conversation. So are you comparing yourself potentially to friends and family, especially around the holidays, and, you know, having small talk with people and things like that, right? What comes up, what triggers you? How are you comparing your life, your lifestyle, what you're doing, your own personal goals, somebody else's success, right, to yours? All of these things, you guys, this always comes up around the holidays because people are talking about the new year. They're talking about what, you know, the accomplishments were for this year. How many of you guys get like the holiday cards or the Christmas cards with like the year in review, like write up about what so-and-so did and what all they accomplished and things like that? Like, let's be real. It's so easy to like compare yourself to like, oh my gosh, like I did not accomplish that much this year, or like, you know, fall down the rabbit hole of that. So if this is you for like your personal life too, take this the same way. Don't fall down that hole. I want you to use what you learn or what you hear as fuel to really propel you forward into next year, to really go after your planning for your goals, and whatever that looks like for you, whether that just means like just simply like feeling happier every day, like what is going to get you there, right? Or maybe you do have like big goals to like go be on a TED Talk, or scale your business to the like this big next level, right? Like whatever that looks like for you is okay. I want to bring this up because I feel like I haven't said it for a while, but one of the things I'm really, really big on is defining your own version of success. You guys, this is so, so huge and so key to how you feel about, love the hearts, to just how you feel about your own accomplishments and celebrating yourself, is that you have to really make the time and be intentional about creating and defining your own version of what success looks like for you, because it looks so, so different to what you want from just the person sitting next to you, even like a significant other or a family member, or even like your best friend, right? Like success looks very different for every single person. So what does it really look like for you? Like if you haven't dove into that yet, I'm totally going off on a tangent, but this is so, so important to like feeling accomplished, right? Feeling accomplished, feeling happy, feeling successful, right? And I use it in air quotes because success is totally different for everyone. So I will go on to that so much more. We're definitely going to do some more. We're doing 2020 planning right now. January is definitely going to be like all about setting your intentions and actually diving into like the fun stuff, maybe some vision boarding stuff. goal planning, kind of like I did last year, and really like defining what does that success look like. So super excited for like all of these things. I love like the end and the beginning of the year because there's so much that comes up. So anyway, that's my tangent for right now. Coming back to like using this as fuel, knowing your competition, knowing what other businesses are doing, knowing what other people are doing, so that you can come back and say, okay, cool. Like, how can I use what I learned, all of this market research, all of these things I learned about my competition, about these other people, about these other businesses, to do things different, right? Like, what is going to set you apart? What is going to really drive you to the success that you want for your business, for your life? What does that look like? And how can you set yourself apart from other businesses? So we're going to go back to like the business piece, right? So knowing what your competition is doing, talking with your customers, knowing what they want. Where is that line? Like, where can you just get creative and realize that like, I can do this differently, or, you know, I really don't like this about this company or like how they do it. So how are you going to do something different instead? How can you set yourself apart that way? You guys, are so many opportunities, like so many ways to get creative or innovative with this. And this is probably one of my favorite things about business, is because there's not like, I mean, I feel like sometimes it'd be easier to have like a guidebook, right? Like a playbook on like how to start a business, how to be successful for a business, right? And just like do it step by step and be done, right? But it's not, you guys. And that's one of the most challenging parts about business, but it's also one of the most fun. And honestly, one of the reasons I totally fell in love with business is because you get to make it what you want. Just like your life too, right? You get to create your own life. You get to create your own business and what you want to put out into the world in general, right? You get to create that. You get to decide. So using what you have learned from your competitors, using what you've learned from your clients or potential clients, and deciding on how you get to do things differently. How can you set yourself apart, especially in like the service-based businesses? You guys, again, going back to like the relationship building and being like the face of your business, like how can you do it differently than all of your other competitors or all of the other businesses? And how is that going to make you stand out to the people who actually want to work with you, right? Oh, there's so many things. This like so gets me fired up, because this is why I decided to do business, right? This is why I decided to like major in it in college. And really what like turned me on about it is because you totally get the choice to create what you want. If you see something and you're like, I hate how this business does this, and believe me, I feel like you run into that all the time, just like being out and about. Like I always think about the airport and things that just like drive you crazy, or think of like the cable companies and how difficult they can be, or you walk into a store and like nobody's around to ask questions and help you just find like the one thing you came in for, right? And it takes you an hour instead of like 5 minutes like it should, right? You know, what are those things that drive you nuts about other businesses, whether they're in your industry or not? And how can you show up and do things differently and create that in your business? I love that part so much. So obviously I get super excited about it, but it's so true, you guys. And this is where so many businesses like fail to just innovate, and just like, this is where I'm talking about, like, put the blinders on, like go do your market research, come back, decide how you're going to set yourself apart, and then keep the blinders on so that you can go and do that and like own your freaking power and like what you are doing for your business, what you're creating, instead of getting sidetracked with like shiny object syndrome, or what your competitors are doing all of the time, and be like, oh, well, maybe I should do that too. Oh, they're doing this, maybe I should do this, you know, like changing course all of the time. Instead, like put those blinders on and be like, nope, like this is what I got from it. This is what I'm going to do with it. And now I'm doing it, right? I hope that makes sense. I see a lot of, especially solo business owners, believe me, I've done this myself for sure, is, you know, especially as you're new and you're trying to figure out what that looks like, and you're trying to figure out what your business looks like in general, and who your potential customers are and everything. And you get so sidetracked with like what other people are doing. It's very, very normal, very, very common. But knowing, like, giving yourself permission, like, cool, like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to do this research so I know, and then I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm going to go do what feels good to me and what I want to create for my business and do the damn thing, right? Actually take the action on it, because that's where you're going to get the results. That's where you're going to create what you want to create, whether that's in your business or in your life. Like, think about it in your life. How many times do you get sidetracked on like what other people are doing, or worrying about what other people are going to think? Oh my gosh, did I hit like a chord there? Because it's so common. Again, if you're feeling that way, it's very, very normal and common, but like, how can you break out of that? Knowing that that's a pattern, how can you put those blinders on, set those boundaries? If you guys didn't see Tuesday's video, it was all about setting boundaries, and it was so, so good. So really, like, how can you set boundaries for yourself so that you stay on track and you stay focused with what you want to create for your life, for your business, for whatever that looks like that's important to you? How are you going to go do that, right? Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. Thank you for the hearts. Tammy, I think you are the one still on. I can never tell like who exactly is on. I see people hop on and off, but it doesn't always like tell me. But thank you so, so much for joining. Please let me know what questions you have about this. I know this was like a lot of also like just business stuff in like a half-hour video, right? So there's a lot like we didn't dive into. So please let me know what questions you have. Let me know what you're having trouble with, or especially just, you know, putting those blinders on and doing that for the first time and trying to get, you know, break those old habits and get into this new, like, focused, very intentional path, right? Let me know what questions you have. I hope that this was helpful. I would love to know your takeaways from this. Please feel free to reach out with anything. I love, love, love doing these videos and just talking about business. Clearly, this is what I love, you guys. So yeah, so if you didn't see Tuesday's video, what I am doing now is Tuesdays, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Mountain time, I should say. I am going to be on here doing these live like trainings, videos. Definitely come live and participate if you can. This is a really good time for people, especially as they're getting off work and can kind of hop on before dinner and things like that. So if this is a good time for you, I would love just to let me know. I can always change like the time and stuff, but I'm kind of finding that this is a good time for people. So let me know just your thoughts on that, but you can definitely expect that Tuesdays and Thursdays we will have like trainings or videos talking about certain topics, especially this month being December. It's definitely going to be a lot about 2020 planning. January is definitely going to be more about goal setting, intentions, like starting off the new year. What does that look like, right? So definitely join us when you can, especially live, so that you can bring your questions and we can talk about them directly. And if, just as a side note, if you guys haven't heard of my scholarship opportunity yet, I do not have a closing date yet, but I'm thinking probably Sunday or Monday this coming, potentially, but I'll like let you know what that looks like for a closing date. But if you haven't filled out your application for a one-on-one spot to work with me for my 90-day program, I would love for you to apply. I would love for you to fill out the application. I will drop the link below in the comments. This is really in celebration of celebrating my year after leaving my day job, which is just so, so huge to me, and with, you know, my version of success, right? And what that looks like. So my goal is to help somebody else potentially leave their day job and really just set up their multi-passionate businesses, life, really creating the life and business or businesses that they want. So if you have not filled out the application yet, please do. If you know someone who needs this, I would love for you to share it with them. If you know someone who would like love these videos too, please feel free to tag them in the videos or have them join our group too. I would love to just meet so many more you know, business owners or people who have ideas and want to start businesses and just need some more support, or potentially, you know, are interested in the scholarship opportunity and would be a good fit for that. Please feel free to tag them, send it to them, whatever works. I totally want to get this out and just share it with whoever needs it, right? So feel free to tag them. Let me know what questions you guys have. I will probably see you guys sooner than next Tuesday, but if I don't see you before then. Have a great weekend. I will definitely see you next Tuesday and Thursday for more of these trainings. And I hope you have a great night. I'll talk to you guys later.